I am an unfavored little concubine. Yet I secretly keep a handsome young eunuch in the palace. I always thought Wei Qing was cold and innocent, until bullet comments floated before my eyes. The supporting female character is truly beautiful, but utterly foolish. She's kept the male lead for a year without realizing he's a fake eunuch. Don't be fooled by the male lead's current platonic relationship with the female supporting character. He'll engage in all sorts of wild plays with the female lead later. The male lead hid a whole box of the female lead's portraits under the female supporting character's bed. Now that's what I call living. Half doubting, I opened the box Wei Qing had treasured. Besides the golden torture instruments, there were also booklets printed with the image of the noble consort. At night, I pushed away the man with a face as fair as jade. Compared to a real man, a eunuch is still lacking. Don't come here anymore. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Is your highness joking with this servant? Wei Qing's gaze was heavy as he looked at me. My eyes lowered slightly, just in time to meet his waist and abdomen. A wolf's waist and mantis arms. Clean and sharp. What kind of ordinary eunuch could possess such a fine physique? I should have thought of it earlier. A man with such a robust waistline is always a formidable character in stories. How could he be an exception? Moreover, several times he was on the verge of action, just one step away. Yet each time, he left at the critical moment, because he has always been preserving himself for others. I dug my nails into my palm and said coldly, I prefer real men, not useless eunuchs who are all show and no substance. Wei Qing is kind-hearted and beautiful, so I don't mind his lack of passion in bed. But that sketchbook deeply hurt me. I cannot tolerate that he still harbors someone else in his heart. Wei Qing fell silent for a moment, then knelt on one knee before me, coaxing with the same tenderness as countless days and nights before. Has your highness become unhappy again? This servant has recently learned some ways to make your highness happy. Would you like to try them? This was his usual method of coaxing me, which I had gladly accepted in the past. But now, I awkwardly turned my face away. Wei Qing continued, Your highness once made a promise that even if you grew tired of this servant, you would still give me a chance to win back your favor. Even prisoners are granted the right to defend themselves. How could your highness be so cruel to this servant? His eyes welled up with tears. Like the misty spring of March, it evokes an irresistible tenderness in one's heart. Once, this look of his was what I adored most. In reality, even if he lacked physical strength, he had plenty of ways to bring me pleasure in bed. Moreover, he always provided ample emotional fulfillment. You're simply my heart's delight. Had I not seen those lines of text and that sketchbook, I could never have let him go. Wei Qing buried his face in my palm, rubbing against it with varying pressure, like a puppy seeking affection. My heart softened as I brushed past his moist eye corners. I'll give you one last chance. Take off your clothes. This princess wants to see what's real and what's fake. You can tell at a glance. The barrage of comments is filled with curses. How dare the supporting female character look at the male lead? Only the female lead is allowed to look at him. The way she humiliated him today will surely be avenged harshly in the future. LOL. The supporting female character probably doesn't know the male lead will become emperor later. If it weren't for the shameless seduction by the female supporting character, the male lead would have long been serving in the imperial concubine sister's palace, playing out palace fantasies. But hey, a woman who comes knocking shouldn't be wasted. Might as well use her for practice to better serve the imperial concubine sister later. Don't be fooled by the female supporting character's current upper hand. When the female lead gets jealous later, the male lead will slaughter her entire family to win his wife back, then lock her in the cold palace to be abused to death by guards. How tragic for the female supporting character. Blind and vicious female supporting characters deserve to have their entire clans executed. This round, the male lead scores full marks for male virtue. My hands trembled so badly I accidentally shattered the glass cup. The alcohol splashed onto my eyelids, burning with a sharp pain. I stopped Wei Qing from unbuttoning his collar. gazing into his innocent yet affectionate eyes. I weakly waved my hand. "It's late. You should go back first. I am an unfavored minor noblewoman. A year ago, I was punished by kneeling for 3 hours by the imperial concubine for wearing clothes of the same color as hers. Accused of disrespect. Coincidentally, Wei Qing came to deliver chilled fruits, and with just a few words, he delighted the imperial concubine so much that she casually intervened on my behalf, sparing me from the punishment. I sought him out, intending to reward him a little. Little did I expect to witness him being punished by the old eunuch. In the scorching summer heat, the young man was drenched with hot tea, yet he knelt as upright as a pine tree. He lacked the usual fawning demeanor of a eunuch. Instead, he exuded an unyielding spirit. Later, I accidentally witnessed him being punished by the old eunuch several more times. He was just a lowly eunuch that everyone could bully. As for me, I was merely a concubine, no different from those banished to the cold palace. After a few encounters, I began to feel that we were kindred spirits in misfortune. I felt a bit more sympathy for him, so I sent someone to privately ask if he'd be willing to serve in my palace. Though it can't compare to the prospects under His Majesty, the work here is much easier. Although my rank isn't high, my family does have some modest wealth. Follow me, and I won't treat you poorly. I spoke with sincerity. Wei Qing was taken aback. In those nearly perfect beautiful eyes, like the sky clearing after heavy rain, a touch of genuine laughter emerged. "Thank you for your appreciation, noble Ming. But as a humble servant fortunate enough to serve before His Majesty, I cannot easily leave my post." He declined me with perfect propriety. That day, the sunlight was just right. His narrow, elongated eyes lifted slightly, yet he did not overstep by meeting my gaze. His gaze fell on the willow tree behind me. Respectful and restrained, he carried a demeanor uncommon among ordinary eunuchs. My heart skipped a beat. Eunuch Wei Qing was truly handsome. My parents always said that while I appear timid as a quail on the surface, I'm actually bold as brass. Before I entered the palace, they gave me plenty of gold, silver, and jewelry to rely on, so I could generously spend to grease palms whenever I needed favors in the palace. Our family isn't short of money, even if I wasn't favored. I lived quite comfortably in the palace, but comfort breeds desire, and I gradually developed feelings for Wei Qing, the little eunuch. Who could blame me when he was so exceptionally good-looking? I generously spent money to help Wei Qing build connections and sent him gifts of food. Perhaps it was because of the money I spent. From then on, under the scorching sun, I no longer saw him sweating profusely while on duty outdoors, nor did I see his hands and feet chapped by the bitter cold wind. Yet I never imagined that my good intentions would make him the target of envy among other eunuchs, who set a trap that led to his punishment before His Majesty. It was a flogging. Now, there wasn't a single uninjured spot on his body, yet he softly comforted me instead. "This servant is fine." I felt even more guilty. Eyes reddening and heart softening, the words slipped out without thought. "Eunuch Wei Qing, why don't you come with me?" As soon as I said it, I froze. Because this time, the "come with me" I mentioned wasn't the same as before when I asked him to serve in my palace, but rather, the kind that couldn't see the light of day. My cheeks instantly flushed crimson, and I was filled with deep regret. I wonder if he caught the hidden meaning in my words. This is a matter that could cost me my head. I shouldn't have been so impulsive. Admiring a flower doesn't necessarily mean plucking it. I kept admonishing myself. Yet I saw Wei Qing, covered in bloodstains, kneeling devoutly at my feet. With humility and tenderness, he lifted my delicate foot and gently kissed it. "This servant begs for your Majesty's affection." Though wearing embroidered shoes, I felt the skin on the top of my foot grow warm and take root. "Then, you should be more obedient in the future." After saying that, I quickly ran away. My interactions with Wei Qing have always been proper and restrained. Occasionally, when we felt like it, it was just kissing and hugging. But somehow he had learned the art of pleasing, and even without complete honesty, he could make me savor the taste and reach ecstasy. Yet I've seen him endure until his body burned, sleepless through the night. I offered to help relieve him, but Wei Qing always refused with restraint. I thought it was because he felt inferior, until I saw those strange, cryptic writings. They said Wei Qing wasn't a real eunuch. He had a man's abilities, but he never gave them to me. He is the protagonist in the storybook, and even more so, the future monarch, destined for unparalleled nobility. The current imperial consort will become his empress in the days to come. As for me, I am but one of the dispensable women in his life. In the near future, to please his beloved consort, he will slaughter my entire family. I pressed a hand to my pounding chest. The terror of facing the extermination of my entire clan and the agony of my beloved's betrayal entwined like wildly growing vines, consuming my mind, leaving me breathless. Ignoring the dense barrage of comments above, I summoned my personal maid. Where has Wei Qing been sent on official duties recently? Aside from regular duties, the place I visit most frequently is her ladyship's residence. However, he has recently been going to the imperial consort's palace as well. This servant heard that due to the recent hot weather, the imperial consort has been sleeping poorly. Since Eunuch Wei Qing possesses folk remedies for insomnia, he went to her palace to attend to her. My brow twitched. He never mentioned this to me. Keep an eye on Wei Qing. Cunning palace. After paying respects to the empress, the imperial consort noticed my emerald green attire and couldn't resist sneering. A mere minor noble. How dare you openly imitate this consort? His Majesty just praised me yesterday for how pleasing I was to his eyes in green, a unique brightness in the harem. And today you couldn't wait to imitate me. It's just a pity that some people can't even catch a glimpse of His Majesty's shadow. With that, she let out an undisguised, mocking laugh. The others present also burst into laughter. In the entire harem, I'm truly the only one who has served in the bedchamber just once. In the past, I wouldn't have cared about these sarcastic remarks. On the contrary, it feels peaceful and comfortable. But now, as I gaze at the green robe adorning the imperial consort, my once calm heart surges with emotion once more. When Wei Qing praised how green suited me in the past, was he genuinely complimenting me? Or was he reminiscing about the unattainable noble consort through me? I'm afraid the latter is more likely. If he truly loved the imperial consort, why would he go to such lengths to deceive me? Such a hypocritical and scheming person might very well one day sacrifice my entire family for the sake of the imperial concubine. I bit my lower lip until it bled. The noble consort snorted coldly at the sight. You should also exhaust all means to get close to His Majesty. Otherwise, if something happens to the family in the future, you won't even find someone to plead for mercy. How pitiful. My eyebrows twitched as I heard it. A faint unease stirred in my heart. The barrage of comments, coupled with the noble consort's pointed remarks, left me agitated for several days. My head throbbed with pain. Wei Qing received the news and came to find me with a cup of honeysuckle tea. It had been a full month since we last saw each other. Even though the investigation had confirmed Wei Qing's innocence regarding the imperial consort and that everything at home was fine. Yet, my first reaction upon seeing Wei Qing was not joy, but wariness. His care for me is like a sword hanging over my head. Should the imperial consort ever be displeased, that sword would come crashing down, nourishing their unforgettable love with the blood of my family. Noticing my wariness, he could only smile helplessly. I am here to perform acupuncture for you. Wei Qing possesses a strong will and is exceptionally bright and quick-witted. Wherever he goes, he encounters noble people willing to assist him. Even if a royal physician secretly taught him medical skills, I wouldn't be surprised. Headaches harm the body. Your Highness, please don't take your anger out on your health because of this lowly servant. It's not worth it, he said. The familiar concern left me momentarily stunned. The setting sun cast its slanting rays. Wei Qing, dressed in green robes, held the needle with steady composure. Her gaze was tender beyond words. A few strands of dark hair lightly brushed against the nape of my neck, bringing with them a tingling sensation. He really put thought into this for me. But why bother? I let out a bitter laugh. With a mix of complicated emotions and unwillingness, my palm glides up through his jet black hair and gently lands on his tall, straight nose bridge. They say a high nose means that part is big too. A gentle tease. Wei Qing's breathing quickened with my movements, his eyes turning red at the corners. Seeing his flushed cheeks, I suddenly felt a twinge of confusion. They say he is the destined male lead for the imperial concubine, but the person before me was clearly still that little eunuch who adored me so much. What if these bizarre words were merely meant to sow discord? Yet in the blink of an eye, the barrage of comments began to boil over again. No matter how much the supporting female character tries to seduce him, the male lead would never betray the imperial consort. Don't be fooled by the male lead's flushed face. He's just pretending to be innocent. Deep down, he's utterly disgusted. When will the supporting female character exit the scene? She's so annoying. The male lead stayed up all night to ensure the imperial consort could sleep well, and now he has dark circles under his eyes. It's heartbreaking. My enthusiasm vanished in an instant. I cupped Wei Qing's face and examined it closely. There was indeed a faint shadow of melancholy in his eyes. I withdrew my hand irritably, an indescribable gloom weighing on my heart. It was suffocating. Forget it. I don't want the acupuncture. You can leave. Wei Qing was stunned. A trace of sadness flashed in his eyes. Yet he obediently removed the needle and left. After walking a few steps, he hurried back and urged, "The flower tea on the table can help clear heat and reduce fire. Remember to drink it." I pursed my lips, propped my chin, and zoned out for a long time. Earlier, it wasn't that I didn't notice Wei Qing's reddened eyes. He was about to cry. For me. Thinking of this, I still downed the long-cooled honeysuckle tea in one gulp. I dashed out in a flash. Not far away, the imperial concubine held Wei Qing's right hand, whispering something to him. Despite the considerable distance between us, I still noticed the smile on Wei Qing's face. Faint, but he was indeed smiling. Facing the imperial concubine, it's hard to articulate the feelings in my heart. I just felt that the honeysuckle tea I had just drunk seemed to have spoiled in an instant, churning at the bottom of my stomach, making me feel sick. I stared at the two of them, unconsciously. She dug her nails into her palms, drawing beads of blood. The two struggled back and forth several times. In the end, the imperial consort gained the upper hand. Without another word, she stuffed the handkerchief into Wei Qing's hand, afraid he might discard it. She tightly wrapped it a few more times. Wei Qing did not refuse. The barrage was filled with blessings. A personal handkerchief is practically a love token. Spread the word. The leads are getting married. In front of the imperial concubine sister, the male lead acts like an innocent college boy. It's truly a unique kind of favoritism. The fire stirred up by the female supporting character was extinguished with just a few words from the imperial concubine. Male lead. Don't love her too much. I bet the male lead will sleep with the imperial concubine's handkerchief tonight. He. As the two pulled at each other, their figures disappeared into the thicket, but the violent movement caused the leaves to rustle and fall. Forced play. Truly the female lead, directly making the male lead break his vows. So exciting. It's time to eat. Big yellow girls. I walked over. Before I could clearly see the two figures, I heard the imperial consort's intermittent, delicate gasps. Wei Qing. You. How dare you? This consort is in pain. Let go of me quickly. I abruptly froze. The pain in my chest was sharp and unrelenting. The barrage of comments wasn't lying. They actually did that kind of thing. I want to leave. The palace maid behind her was the first to scold. Where did this lowly wench come from? Daring to engage in lewd acts in broad daylight in the imperial garden. How dare you dirty our mistress's eyes? I'll skin you alive. The people inside immediately fell silent. Yet a few muffled groans still escaped uncontrollably. I blinked, holding back the surging tears, and supported myself on the palace maid to leave. Let's not meddle in others' affairs. Let's go quickly. Soon. Wei Qing caught up with us. He lowered his voice. Your Highness must have misunderstood something. It was just a palace maid who accidentally bumped into this servant. Palace maid. To protect the noble consort's reputation. He could even utter such words that turned black into white. In the end, it was still fear of his status. Thus, I dismissed the palace maid, leaving them with ample dignity. You don't need to tell me who you collided with. Wei Qing frowned, as if trying to bore a hole through me with his gaze. What does your Highness mean by this? I met his eyes directly. What I mean is, from now on, we go our separate ways. If we meet again in the future, consider each other as strangers who happen to cross paths. When luck runs out, misfortunes come one after another. I lay sick in bed for several days. Then another major crisis struck the household. The letter said, my brother stood up against injustice at the market and accidentally injured a few ruffians. One of them turned out to be the only son of a marquis. The marquis had my brother severely beaten and then thrown into prison. Our parents were at their wits' end and both fell ill at home. The sky has fallen at home. Helplessly clutching the letter. For the first time I hated myself for not striving for improvement and just idling away my days in the palace. Now, with my family in dire straits, I couldn't find a single person to turn to for help. Just as I was in the midst of this crisis, Wei Qing suddenly paid a visit. He brought his favorite osmanthus cake. Your Highness has lost all appetite and is growing thinner by the day. This humble servant had someone purchase your favorite pastries from outside the palace. My brother's fate remains unknown. How could I have any appetite for food or drink? I smiled bitterly. Your Highness must take care of yourself. I will spare no effort in the matter concerning your elder brother. At least ensure he won't be tortured in prison. He picked up an exquisite peach blossom cake and brought it to my lips. I felt somewhat tempted, but the moment I saw the scar on his right hand, I instantly sobered up. These were the injuries he sustained that day to cover for the imperial consort. He is the imperial consort's plaything. If I continue to entangle myself with him, it will bring about the calamity of my family's extermination. Enough. Having barely escaped the sea of flames, I must never turn back. If we must part, let it be clean and decisive. I brushed his hand away, and the pastry tumbled to the ground, shattering into an unsightly mess. With my brother now in dire straits, I can only lament my inability to share his burden. To speak of indulging in good food and drink at such a time would shame me to death. After parting on bad terms with Wei Qing, I sought help from various people in the palace, but it was all in vain. Several days of heavy rain followed, coupled with scorching heat. Many people fell ill with summer sickness. I heard my brother contracted malaria in prison but couldn't seek medical treatment. Furious and heartbroken, I burned with fever in a daze for 3 days and nights. In my delirium, it seemed I returned to that day when Wei Qing tempted me with pastries. If Her Highness eats these pastries, I'll ensure your brother is spared from punishment. I'll eat. My eyes were swollen from crying, like an abandoned little kitten. Pitiful beyond words. Wei Qing curved his fingers and wiped my tear-streaked eyes. Is Her Highness willing to be obedient now? Hearing this, I cried even louder. Tears fell like broken strings of pearls, landing on Wei Qing's slender hands. In no time, they had dampened his palm. I grasped his horsetail whisk, pleading desperately, I'll be obedient. My brother has been frail since childhood, and now he's contracted a terrible illness. He won't survive in prison. Please help me. I promise I'll never appear before you again. I'll repay your kindness in my next life by serving you like an ox or a horse. The more I thought about it, the more aggrieved I felt, trembling as I cried. Like pear blossoms in a storm, the branches tremble wildly, nearly pressed into the mud by the wind and rain. At this sight, Wei Qing seemed to recall something, his eyes darkening slightly. He glanced at me with a forced smile. Next life, I'd actually like to ask Her Majesty for some rewards right now. Unfortunately, Her Majesty is heartless and no longer wants this servant. My body stiffened. I couldn't quite grasp what he meant by this. I could only tentatively extend a finger and lightly tap the back of his hand, where veins meandered. The pulse there suddenly twitched. It seemed to encourage me to continue, yet also appeared to deter my approach. Looking up, Wei Qing's cold, pale eyelids closed, a frigid demeanor that seemed to lock away all emotions and desires. LMAO. Folks. The female lead is practically seducing him, and the male lead remains unmoved. If it were the female protagonist, just one glance would send the male lead into a mental climax. Is the female supporting character in this male-oriented novel so naive? Just holding hands and she's already thinking of asking for favors. The female supporting character has already broken up with him, yet she still thinks that with just a flick of her fingers, the male lead will come running to serve her like before. The female supporting character's brother is in prison. Her parents have fallen ill, and the family is on the verge of collapse. I screamed in fright, sat up abruptly in bed, drenched in fragrant sweat. It was a dream. The dream felt so real. I pinched my palm nervously, trying to suppress the panic in my heart. Outside the window, thunder rumbled and lightning flashed, bringing brief illumination to the pitch-dark bedchamber. Your Highness, you're awake. I saw Wei Qing standing by the bed like a ghost, unsure how long he had been watching me. How did you get here? My heart was pounding. After rejecting Wei Qing that day, I pleaded with everyone I knew in the palace, but was turned away at every door. Later, when I wanted to ask Wei Qing for help again, I learned that he had been sent outside the palace by the emperor on official business. Now he sneaks into my palace in the dead of night. His intentions are all too clear. I stopped hesitating, closing my eyes. I mustered all my strength and threw myself into his arms. Wei Qing, please save my brother. I've been a glutton since childhood. With a plump figure. He has always been infatuated with that part of me. I just don't know why he hid a thick, hard duster in his robe, pressing painfully against my skin. I lowered my head to try and remove it, but he seized my hands. He glared at me with a fierce look. Your Majesty, this servant never taught you these things. Could it be that you secretly learned it to please His Majesty? They say her ladyship has been seeking help from many people lately. The next step would be to go to him, wouldn't it? Wei Qing pressed his thumb hard against the corner of my eye. That was my most sensitive spot. Tears welled up uncontrollably once more. I shook my head. Right now, I only want to ask for your help. So, will you agree or not? The frost in his eyes melted instantly. He lowered his head and gently kissed my eyelids. She said she loves me. That she'll only love me in this lifetime. You say it, and I'll help you, even if it costs me my life. Without hesitation, I replied, in this lifetime, I'll only love you. Yet again, he wasn't satisfied. It all sounds too easy when you say it. Your Majesty, it makes me feel unreal. Swear to me, if you ever abandon me, then, I was growing somewhat weary. Stop humiliating me. The more he pretends to be affectionate, the more I feel he's humiliating me. My eyes reddened. This was a matter of mutual consent from the start. You came to me tonight for nothing but physical pleasure. Why drag in empty vows of love just to disgust me? Does saying I love you make you sick? Wei Qing curled his lips. The smile never reached his eyes. The next second, the world turned upside down. Wei Qing pulled me up. Emotions surged in his eyes. Feelings I couldn't comprehend. Like a storm about to break. Like a wild beast breaking free from its cage. Like a dying man clutching at his last straw with all his might. It was the first time I'd seen such an expression on his face. As if something was about to burst through the heavens, carrying a desperate resolve to live by facing death. My heart trembled, instinctively turned her head away. Yet he forcefully seized her, forcing her to meet his stormy eyes. Your Majesty, you are not allowed to say I'm disgusting. Nor are you allowed to leave me. In this life and the next. You are not allowed to say you'll leave me. After speaking, he tied my hands with silk, covered my eyes, and turned to walk toward the Luohan bed not far away. There lay a familiar wooden box. It was the one he had previously placed in my palace. I had secretly opened it, As the bullet comment said, it contained all the things he treasured. The things that could bring joy to the imperial concubine. A long while passed. The expected commotion did not occur. All was silent, except for the incessant chirping of cicadas outside the house. It's making me upset. My lips trembled slightly. Before I could speak, bitter medicinal broth was poured into my mouth. A sweet plum was promptly slipped between my lips. Sweet and soothing. It dispelled the bitter taste of medicine. What did you feed me? Poison. It's traditional Chinese medicine for colds. After saying this, Wei Qing untied my restraints and wiped the sweat from my temples. Cover me with the blanket. It's late. Your Highness. You should rest early. I was stunned. Glanced at a certain part of him, restless with desire. Are you just going to leave like this? I added. You're the one who refused. But you can't go back on your promise to help my brother. Or should I find another way to help you relax? Wei Qing said. No need. Don't worry. I've already been secretly working on your brother's matter. I froze, filled with shame. But then he saw the barrage of comments scrolling by. Every single one is calling me foolish. The supporting female character is so stupid. Thinking the male lead actually helped her. She offended the imperial consort. And the male lead couldn't bear to harm her directly. So he had her family injured and imprisoned to let the consort vent her anger. If the consort's anger isn't appeased, she can't sleep well, which in turn keeps our loyal dog male lead awake. That's why he sought out the supporting female character in the middle of the night to vent his frustration. But why is the male lead comforting the female lead? Could he really have feelings for her? Impossible. If the male lead wanted to help, her brother would have been released from prison by now. How could he still be suffering inside? You actually believe what men say in bed. After reading these words, my heart sank. I grabbed Wei Qing. Now that you're the emperor's favorite, with considerable power, could you take me to see my brother? Wei Qing refused. Once again, my heart grew cold. The blunt mockery in the barrage comments couldn't compare to Wei Qing's gentle deception. He played with me like a frog in slowly boiling water. It seems I can only rely on myself. The next day, I dressed up carefully, carrying the food box. I headed to the imperial study. The emperor looked somewhat surprised to see me. You are. LOL. The supporting female character has turned into a half-ripe peach under the male leads. Nourishment. No longer the little bean sprout she used to be. The old emperor is shook. The supporting female character has a great figure. Too bad the male lead is too devoted. He's still serving the imperial consort in her palace. Otherwise, the female lead wouldn't have to pitifully butter up the old emperor. The supporting female character seduced the emperor, making the imperial consort jealous, which gave the male lead a chance to coax his wife. Tonight, the leads will finally go all the way. So exciting. I heard the male lead can do it 10 times in his first go. As expected of a male-oriented novel protagonist. He's got stamina. My hand trembled. Half of the cooling soup in my hand spilled. The emperor held my hand and chuckled dotingly. Is my beloved concubine tired? I blinked. Dark circles shadowed beneath his eyes. I knelt down, told the emperor about my brother's situation, and begged him to spare my brother's life. My brother was wrong to hit someone, but his crime does not deserve death. Moreover, the young master publicly harassed an official's daughter, which is already inexcusable. If it weren't for the imperial concubine's orders, my brother wouldn't have been imprisoned for so long. As long as the emperor speaks, this matter will be settled. The emperor stared at me with profound meaning. My beloved consort, you wouldn't come to the palace without a reason. Just as I was so nervous that my breath stopped. He casually laughed again, taking the handkerchief handed by the eunuch to clean his hands. It seems I won't be able to enjoy today's heat-relieving soup. Starting tomorrow, you shall come daily to relieve my fatigue. Perhaps your brother will soon be acquitted and released. Hearing this, joy lit up my face. The maiden's charming demeanor, with every smile and frown, was enough to dispel the sweltering summer heat. The emperor graciously waved his hand, signaling the attendants to leave. He teased, "How will my beloved concubine thank me?" I obediently opened the food box and was about to feed him the chilled soup when a graceful figure rushed into the emperor's embrace. "Your Majesty, your humble consort has prepared your favorite 8 treasure soup. It seems I've come at an inconvenient time." It was the noble consort. The noble consort stopped me in the imperial garden. Her gaze was filled with resentment as she looked at me, probably angry that I sought out the emperor, afraid I might steal his favor. I glanced around nervously. The palace maids and eunuchs were all at a distance. Would she dare do anything to me? But then she pulled out a handkerchief covered in ghostly scribbles and, lowering her voice, provocatively said, "I know Wei Qing had a past with you. And I also know there was no physical intimacy between you two. Don't look at me so surprised. Wei Qing explained your innocence to me. Otherwise I wouldn't have allowed him into my bed. Remember this handkerchief. The token of love you gave Wei Qing. He doesn't like it at all." I looked over as if I'd seen a ghost. Discussing such things in broad daylight. Is sneaking around with another man behind the emperor's back something to be proud of? "Your Highness, be careful with your words," I reminded her. The imperial consort scoffed. "Stop pretending. I don't believe you have no feelings for him. His lust is too intense. He's clearly a virgin. I didn't expect you to be so useless. After sharing meals with him for so long, you still couldn't tempt him to break his fast. All right. From now on, behave yourself. Don't even think about coveting this princess's man. Whether it's the emperor or Wei Qing, neither is someone you can aspire to. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind giving your parents some more bitter fruit to taste." With that, she tossed the handkerchief to the ground, stomped heavily a few times, then swaggered off arrogantly. Not long after she left, Wei Qing followed closely behind. Seeing the unwillingness all over my face, he grew even angrier. "I told you I would save your brother. Why are you still looking for another man? Do you not trust me for even a moment? Your Highness, for whom do you weep? For your brother? Or are you crying because the imperial consort intercepted you and you failed to win the emperor's favor?" I looked up. His slightly wrinkled clothes pricked at my heart. What was he doing with the imperial concubine before seeking the emperor? It goes without saying. Wicked thing. What right does he have to question me? I raised my hand and flung the food box at him, the chilled summer soup trickling slowly down the embroidered python pattern. What a sorry sight. I slowly uttered a single word. "Get out." For several days in a row, the emperor stayed in the consort's chamber. Yet, I remained unwavering in my daily delivery of the cooling soup, only to have it returned untouched each time. Within a few days, the palace was abuzz with new jokes at my expense. However, the emperor did eventually release my brother. I finally felt relieved. Soon, I encountered another interesting person, a beautiful and docile little eunuch. His figure couldn't compare to Wei Qing's. His eyes aren't as attractive as his, but with rosy lips, pearly teeth, and a clever, quick-witted nature, he's quite the charmer. Most importantly, this young eunuch is newly arrived at the palace. He doesn't understand any rules. He's like a blank sheet of paper. However I train him, he'll become exactly what I like according to my preferences. Several days later, I recline on the chaise lounge to cool off. A young eunuch, with fair and delicate fingers, holds peeled grapes like a treasure, offering them to my lips. "Your Highness, my master mentioned that this year's autumn heat is exceptionally intense. Might we consider postponing the delivery of the cooling soup to His Majesty?" I rub my temples. "No, Your Majesty has done me a great favor. I must show my sincerity." Seeing my insistence, the young eunuch changed the subject. "I've heard that many people have been suffering from the heat lately. The nobles are still somewhat comfortable, but many of us working servants have fallen ill from the heat, vomiting and having diarrhea. It's truly pitiful to see. Even those serving directly in front of His Majesty haven't escaped the cruel autumn heatwave." I casually asked, "Who is it?" "Eunuch Wei Qing. The little eunuch wiped his tears. I heard he's been lying unconscious for 3 days and nights, and still hasn't woken up. Who knows if he'll ever come to him, a man destined to become emperor in the future. What's there to worry about? Besides, if he were to fall ill, there would surely be someone to care for him. It's not our place to pity him. Wow, how pitiful, I replied perfunctorily. The young eunuch's hand trembled slightly as he cautiously said, Your Highness, I heard that Eunuch Wei Qing is currently the emperor's favorite. All the palaces have sent him tonics and ice. Should we also? I gave him a long look. You're quite kind-hearted. Why don't you go check on him yourself? The young eunuch trembled and silently peeled grapes, but I seemed to hear him mutter something. It sounded like, Poor master, isn't he? Though the young eunuch was quite handsome, he was far from competent in handling affairs. He burned incense to help him sleep, but who knows what expired spices he used. It left me in a daze all night. At one point, I dreamed someone was holding me, gnawing and biting. At another, I dreamed that damned Eunuch Wei Qing was scolding me for being heartless, not even going to visit him. Strange dreams kept coming one after another. I yawned and had someone come in to comb my hair. But then I heard the palace maid exclaim in shock, The mosquitoes last night were so vicious. Your Highness, you've been bitten several times on the neck. I touched my neck, with a slight tingling sensation. Let's try a different spice tonight. Yes. The next day, I woke up again with 2 huge dark circles under my eyes. My waist felt weak and limp. Damn it, I muttered to myself. I leaned out to look through the window. The brick road is dry. There was no rain last night. Yet I clearly dreamed of a night-long storm. In the dream, I was tossed and turned, scalding, damp, and countless kisses, along with other techniques, the kind of nimble skills that Wei Qing, that damned eunuch, always employed. I experienced them all. Later, I couldn't take it anymore and begged him to stop. Yet I was forced to watch all night as the sudden rain battered the flowers. The flowers couldn't withstand the heavy rain, scattering all over the ground, mingling with the rainwater and mud, leaving behind a muddy mess of spring's beauty. When I woke up, there was no one by my side, nor were there any traces left on me. I was confused. Was it a dream, or did it really happen? After some thought, I still called the palace maids and eunuchs to keep watch for me at night. For the next month or so, I didn't have any similar nightmares again. When I saw Wei Qing again, the little eunuch was crouching beneath me searching for pearls. How suggestive. Wei Qing only glanced once before averting his gaze, but his jaw was clenched tightly. Noble consort Ming, His Majesty has turned over your green head plaque. You are to attend him tonight. This servant will take you to the bathhouse to prepare. I gave him a disappointed glare. The young eunuch was delighted to see him, but Wei Qing remained aloof. Bathhouse. Wei Qing dismissed the palace maids, intending to bathe me personally. I remarked sarcastically, Eunuch Wei Qing is going to serve me in my bath. I fear you'll get as worked up as you used to. Your blood boiling, yet powerless to do anything. Wei Qing washed her hands with fragrant water and slowly walked towards me. Filthy. I slapped his hand away. The thought of these hands having touched other women, and countless more in the future, made me sick. My look of disgust provoked Wei Qing. He grabbed my hand and pinned me against the clothing rack. Clothes were scattered all over the floor. Don't you find that little eunuch dirty serving you? I nodded. He's quite amusing, and as clean as a blank sheet of paper. Wei Qing's face turned ashen. So Her Majesty has taken a fancy to him. You suddenly cut ties with me, and now you find me filthy. Even found someone else. But back then, you asked me to follow you, promising wealth and honor. And now you've abandoned me. How cruel your Majesty is. He was very emotional. Tears fell one by one onto my collarbone as I struggled, then slid deeper. So hot. The barrage scrolled by. Holy shit. So intense. But why isn't it the female lead? Instead it's the wooden supporting female character. Men act 3 parts drunk to play you till your heart breaks. The male lead is just putting on a show for the imperial concubine. Last night the two couldn't reach an agreement on doing it. So now the male lead is using the supporting female to provoke the female lead. Ha 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 ha. But the supporting female is so pitiful. She's just become a tool. Isn't the meaning of her existence just to be a stepping stone for the main couple's relationship? Why pity a paper character? The barrage knows exactly how to piss people off. I sneered inwardly. My palm brushed against Wei Qing, traced the undulating chest cavity, then slowly descended. Wei Qing grabbed my hand, cold sweat pouring down. Your Highness. Don't. I raised an eyebrow. Eunuch Wei Qing. What fine acting. Anyone who didn't know better would think you were a real man. 666. The supporting female character isn't even pretending anymore. The female lead's sharp tongue was like poison, leaving the male lead's face dark with anger. He was so desperate to prove his innocence that he almost pulled out. The big guy. Right then and there. I saw the big tent already. Who said eunuchs are useless? This eunuch is more than capable. Hey, girls. Go. Time to eat. I ignore the words I can't understand. Her wrist, like a nimble little snake, darted in and out around Wei Qing's body. From initial resistance to now involuntarily arching forward. It took Wei Qing no more than the time it takes to burn a stick of incense. Wei Qing's body arched slightly, her skin tinged with an unnatural pink. His gaze went out of focus. He wanted more. I scoffed and let go. This concubine is weary. Step back. Wei Qing could clearly see that I was deliberately teasing him, yet he held me tightly in his arms. My lady, let this servant hold you for a moment. I've been so tired lately. I sneered, tired from climbing into other concubines' beds. You knew. He was slightly stunned, though exhausting. When I think it's all for our future together, it feels worth every effort. Nonsense. I was about to scold him when someone covered my mouth. The show is about to begin. The sound of a man and woman laughing came from outside. Listening carefully, it was actually the emperor and his concubine. My heart was about to leap out of my throat. This commotion. Wouldn't Wei Qing be driven mad with jealousy? Turning back, I saw him holding my undergarment that had fallen to the ground. The ribbons entwined around his fingers, pressed against the tip of his nose as he inhaled deeply. I was screaming internally, unable to resist. I lowered my voice to scold him. Even if another woman broke your heart, you can't just take my clothes. Your Highness. Scold. Scold me again. I could feel it clearly. His passion quickly awakened. Not just fleeting dust. My face flushed, and I couldn't help but curse. If you have the guts, go out and win over the woman you love. Then openly cherish and adore her. What kind of skill is it to bully me like this now? It's not the right time yet. He snorted again, his voice hoarse beyond recognition. Hold on a little longer. You're not allowed to like other men. Did you see the old emperor? He's not only filthy but also quick. What? I instinctively looked outside. Not a soul in sight. Is it over? Wei Qing's body trembled slightly, almost burning me. But a servant is different. A servant will always be the loyal dog by your side. My lady. Forever. So why did Her Highness leave this servant? The next second, I lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was inside a room made of gold. Wei Qing spoke in a gentle voice. You've been asleep for 3 days and nights. You must be starving. I've prepared some food for you. Where is this place? I've been missing for 3 days. The palace maids couldn't find me and would have reported to. He pressed his fingertip against my lips to silence me. It's chaotic outside. Isn't it normal for one person to go missing? Chaotic. My head buzzed with a sudden realization. Could what those bullet comments were saying have actually happened? Wei Qing is about to rebel. Does that mean I'll soon be sent to the cold palace, to be tortured to death? What about my family? Will they also be implicated? A series of questions flooded my mind. and I dared not imagine the answers. A jade bowl was pressed to my lips, filled with my favorite 8 treasure soup. Wei Qing smiled. "Does your majesty not wish to eat?" I was on the verge of tears. Life is hanging by a thread. How could I possibly eat? But I still wanted to try, forcing a bitter smile. "Do you want me to eat?" Wei Qing's expression turned strange. "Of course this servant wishes you to eat. Later. We'll still need your majesty to exert some effort. Then I'll eat it." I gobbled it down in big mouthfuls. After the meal, Wei Qing patiently helped me wash up, then left silently again. For half a month straight, Wei Qing continued just as before, attending to my daily needs, then quietly departing. If not for being confined in this gilded cage, these days would be no different from before. Yet my heart grows increasingly unsettled. I can't shake the feeling Wei Qing is brewing something. Finally, on a damp and sultry night, Wei Qing, shrouded in mist, found me and forcibly pulled me up from the bed, kissing madly. "My lady, from now on, no one can separate us again." I was kissed into a daze. Just before the fall, bullet comments appeared before my eyes again. The novel's ruined. How could the male lead scheme to have the female lead kill the emperor, just to threaten her family? He sent people to imprison the female lead, probably trying to play out some captive love. Right. Stop joking around, folks. That's what the supporting female character's story is about. Captive love. The female lead being locked in a dark room without food or water is just plain imprisonment. Moreover, the male lead knows the imperial concubine is sowing discord, so he feeds her aphrodisiacs every day, making her do all sorts of things with beggars. The male lead is so twisted. What's wrong with the male lead? Wouldn't it be better to just follow the plot and do the imperial concubine, then get supported by her maternal family to become the new emperor? From then on, he could take in all sorts of powerful women and bring their influential families under his control. That's what a true alpha male should do. Who cares if he's an emperor or a eunuch? Can the male lead even perform or not? Don't worry, folks upstairs. The male lead also took aphrodisiacs and is about to go wild with the supporting female character. I looked up. "You madman. What exactly have you done?" "Regicide." My eyelids twitched violently. "Then why aren't you ascending the throne or crowning your beloved woman as empress? What are you doing here?" "Kiss you." "Go away." My voice trembled with tears. "Teasing me again. After kissing me. What then? Going to find your beloved concubine. What do you take me for? Play with me and then discard me to the cold palace to fend for myself. Is that it?" "Wei Qing. I hate you. I don't want to see." Wei Qing's scorching kiss landed on my lips, silencing my words. Only when I had gone limp as water did he finally ease his grip. "There has never been anything between me and the noble consort. Wei Qing has always been loyal to Mingyu. Mingyu is my name. I don't want to hear it." I reached out my hand, but the slap landed lightly on his face, like a caress. I glared at him. "What did you just feed me?" "Muscle-relaxing powder." His kiss descended again. Cheek, ear bone, shoulder, collarbone. Deeper and more intimate touches. I was forced to endure it for 3 days and 3 nights. Finally, I realized the barrage comments weren't lying. Wei Qing, that mad dog, really did it 10 times in one night. And I also understood the true intention behind him feeding me the 8 treasure soup day and night to nourish my chi and blood all this time. All for this moment. 3 days later, I was as exhausted as an old ox in the field, yet my complexion remained rosy and fair, like fine jade tinged with rouge. Don't all the storybooks say women faint during this act? Why have I never had this before? I pushed the person on top of me with utter despair. "I want to sleep." "No, Your Highness. You don't want to." I insisted. "I think we can take a break for a while. And later." "No. Her Majesty has always emphasized what a real man is. I think I should prove myself." I kissed him and said weakly, "You've already proven yourself. It's not enough yet." Wei Qing laughed. I pretended to cry. You don't love me, my lady. I am loving you right now. You gave the handkerchief I embroidered to the noble consort. I gritted my teeth in anger. She even came to flaunt to me how close you two were. Wei Qing gave me a strange look. That's a replica. The handkerchief Her Highness gave me has always been kept close to my body. No one could steal it. As for that madwoman, the noble consort, don't believe a single word she says. My interactions with her were solely to maintain contact with her father and brother behind the scenes. Me? I don't want to know. Let go of me first. I'm sorry I can't stop. I had too many reservations before, which made Her Highness misunderstand. Now I dare not slack off for even a moment. Wei Qing was sweating profusely, continuously proving himself. Outside the window, the bright moon hangs high, illuminating the spring scenery filling the hall. Wei Qing's perspective. My name is Wei Qing, the former crown prince. He's also a fake eunuch. My purpose in entering the palace was to assassinate the emperor. The victors become kings. The losers become bandits. But I must also avenge those who died for me. As for whether I live or die after killing him, it doesn't matter. Wei Qing is kind-hearted and beautiful, so I don't mind his lack of passion in bed. But I met Mingyu. She cared for me. She was concerned about me. I thought she only wanted a pet to toy with, but she gave too much. Money, care, preference. I can't help but be moved. So, for us to have a bright future, I need to think about more things. First, there's safety. Until I can take the dog emperor's life and ensure my own safety, I cannot irresponsibly deceive her into giving herself to me. I thought I was doing well, yet she still noticed something amiss. To make matters worse, she misunderstood my relationship with the noble consort. Seeing her cry breaks my heart. So, if it's unavoidable, then let nature take its course. I will still kill the emperor, but I cannot die. I must keep myself alive. For Mingyu, my life, my soul, my body, my loyalty, all belongs to Mingyu. From the moment she picked up the handkerchief to wipe away my blood and asked if I could follow her, fate had already entwined us together. Then let us remain entangled forever. The end.